Hi, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I have no idea what you've already seen of me because I've been filming on and off for the past half a year and who knows what's edited. Who knows what's going to get out before this gets out, so who knows what you know about me and my life and my thoughts and opinions. But today I wanted to discuss something that apparently has been really hard for me to discuss. I thought I was going to be filming this a while ago today, like half an hour ago, but so many things have gone wrong. My microphone is not on my flower here. Usually there is a microphone attached to this flower and I can feel all cool and pretty with my little microphone thing, but I have lost it. So I'm still gonna hold my really pretty flower because this is the reason why I bought it. But hopefully the next video we will have better audio and I will have been able to find my adapter for my microphone. But this is just proof that this is something the devil probably doesn't want me talking about. And that is AI and beauty. I have a lot of strong opinions about AI and the use of AI and the use of technology as we see it today and beauty. I'm not going to get into all of the technical things that have been going on. I am going to ramble, and if I desire to, which I probably will, desire to do in-depth research and do like a full video essay about it, I'll do that. But right now I want to ramble. I have been stopping myself quite often from talking in front of the camera and making videos because I have this sense of, if I'm not an expert on it, I can't say anything at all. And that has kept me silent for a very long time when the Lord has asked me to stop doing that. So I am asking the Lord to come into space with me and to be with me and to inspire me into whatever I meant to be saying at this current point in time with this current video idea. And hopefully this resonates with somebody. If anything, it's just getting my opinion out in the zeitgeist of the internet, in the black hole, in the void, that's the term I normally like to use, of the internet. And it's just one little drop in the cascading avalanche of people's opinions of this not being their favorite thing that is happening in the world. So, without further ado, here are my random midnight ramblings on AI and beauty. So beauty is something that is very important to me. Beauty is something that should be very important to everybody. Everybody does actually have a stake in the way beauty is being portrayed and desecrated in our modern day right now. Beauty is so important to not only our culture in America and in the world, in our stitching together of different cultures, but beauty is what brings most people together. It doesn't matter so much where you are in the country, in the world. There is something intrinsically universal about the experience of beauty. There are a lot of different places online that like to make believe that beauty is not something that, like the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, which is true to some extent. That is true to some extent. We do have our own preferences. We do have our own ideas about what we're most attracted to or like the pieces of art that we like. But there is something fundamental and universal and unifying about beauty. There's something that brings people together. That's why we have museums, that's why we have art, that's why we have culture. And all is coinciding with this underlining thing of beauty. Oh my gosh, take a shot of how many times I'm gonna say beauty in this video. It's going to be too many. But this is all just to say that I believe that beauty is very important. And I believe that we have lost our sense of beauty in this in this very overly capitalistic world. I have no problem usually with capitalism. I am an American, I am a Republican, you know, I voted for Trump. I will continue to probably vote Republican my whole life, you know. There's just a lot of things going on with that, and we can get into the weeds of that later on in different videos, but that's not the topic of right now. But one thing that I will say with the profit for profit's sake, this overinflation of consumerism has done so much of a disservice. You would think that with this ability to live in prosperity that the United States have been able to do, like, not even a question. Our dollar goes for so much more than like an impoverished area, and there's still a lot of work to do, don't get me wrong, with low-income areas. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is there is too much of a good thing. Moderation is key with most things, and with capitalism, we have seen a overshoot in profit for profit's sake. Doesn't matter what we're desecrating, doesn't matter what we're getting rid of, doesn't matter the people that we're stomping on along the way. I'm Catholic. There should be a universal feel of taking care of the least among us. Even if you run a business, there's no excuse for that. And one thing that I have been infuriated with lately is these large tech companies pushing AI on all of us. I spent a good 5 minutes trying to find a video for my screen that you see behind me. I had to look up no AI, because otherwise you will get an AI video. It has been inundating our whole online world. And right now, online is where the culture mainly is. Online is where you find people, is where you connect with people, is where you create nowadays. Like, if you've been on YouTube, you've probably seen a bunch of amateur artists and animators writing their own pilots and everything. There is blogs and books published on WhatsApp. There are so many different ways that you can produce your own art online. At this point, it feels as if everything that is being produced online has just been stolen by these larger tech corporations to feed their AI systems. Me and my co-author had to change platforms. We were writing primarily on Google Docs, and we had to change platforms today because we were worried that AI, Gemini on Google, was going to read our document and be used for training. It will not be used for the overall public training, but it's being used in their writing assistance training. The writing assistance of Google is able to read all of your documents to help you out and give feedback and, be an editor or whatever. We were trying out Ellipsis. I might also try out Obsidian. These are platforms that are encrypted. I know for sure Ellipsis is very anti-AI and will not have any AI algorithms or learning databases things within their program. They built their platform specifically to fight AI. Can't say the same thing about Obsidian. It just looked an interesting place to plot stuff out, right? It looked interesting. So that's why I'm going to try it out. Anyway, all of this is to say that AI has been infusing itself into every nook and cranny of our online discourse, and it has gotten into the creatives. We already knew that it would get into the creatives. As soon as AI was able to generate images, it was a downhill slope from there. It started off really bad. You were able to tell when it was AI, but now it's gonna get good. It's gonna get even better. The only thing that AI won't be able to do is make anything analog. Like, that is the only place, regular pen and paper, ink and a canvas, like actually playing instruments, that is the only place we're going to be able to find the human experience expressed through art. Art is being taken up by these soulless machines. I have heard so many reasonings from people as to why AI in art is good. It's opening up to a larger group of people who didn't have the prowess to put their vision into action and have been able to do more things with it than they've never been able to before, which in one extent is great. I'm glad that you're finding self-expression. But on the other hand, art is a pouring out of one's soul. Art is a expression of the human experience, and robots will never be able to mimic the human experience. Will never be able to portray, to give life to the human experience. Even a drawing done by a toddler is going to have more life and soul to it than anything produced by AI. And it breaks my heart that there are so many places where AI has been able to give more people the ability to express their creativity in new ways, but it's coming at the expense of borderline erasure of the arts. As a writer, I am honestly a little afraid. Just a little bit. I have most of my trust in God, and this is technology that is taking up so much resources. We haven't even gotten there yet. Like, I can't even put a pin in that, because we're going to talk about that. We're going to ramble about it. I don't have all of the facts and details about it, but we are sure going to ramble about the things that I am infuriated about. AI has begun the process of making art a cheap commodity. Art should never be something that is taken as cheap. Obviously, if you're an artist, you know that you make a lot of crap things like 90% of the time, and sometimes you'll get your like a masterpiece, you know. You need to create bad art to create good art. You need to practice, you need to do studies. It takes a long time to get good at a craft, but that means you're getting good in studying the craft. That means you're taking care to learn the process of the craft. You're taking away the skill and expertise when you rely solely on AI. And I'm not saying everyone is doing this. I'm just saying it's gotten to the point where even the artists who would spend years studying the craft have begun to rely on AI. I'm just worried about the future with all of this use of AI and relying on it. Humans are intrinsically kind of lazy individuals. We want to do the best thing the fastest way, and sometimes art can't do that. For an oil piece, you have to wait months sometimes for the paint to completely dry before you go over another layer. Your skill set could be completely different by then, but it's still an act of love and dedication and expression to get the piece the way you want it. There is just something so important about the actual process of art creation that we're going to be lost with this new rise of over-dependence on AI. AI is a tool and nothing more. This is something that I've talked a little bit about with a few individuals who will remain identityless about the fears of AI taking over jobs. I have faith. I have hope that there's never going to be a world where taking the human being out of the equation is the best option for some of these jobs. I don't believe you can take the human being out of marketing when you're trying to get other human beings to buy your product. AI is meant to just be a tool. And it should only remain a tool. Even if we have the capability to go further, it's like the Tower of Babylon. Babylon? Whatever. I think it's in Babylon. I think Babylon comes later. It's like the Tower of Babylon. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. It's like the Tower of Babylon, where we're climbing so close to the sun that we're gonna get smited. It's not like God has stepped away from the world. He is still very active. These companies that are starting to over-rely on AI is going to get a rude awakening when they realize you cannot replace a human experience, a human understanding, a human reasoning with AI. AI can't understand the complexities of a situation the way a human being can. And I pray that it never gets to the point where it does in science fiction and surpasses us. I don't think it ever can, because our brains were created by the creator, by God. I don't think anything man can make can go above and beyond what God has created. So I am choosing to find peace and tranquility in that understanding that we can't destroy ourselves with our own creation. That has been proven time and time again that, humans destroy themselves with their own creation. But I hope that we don't eradicate ourselves more so than we already have. And that's a whole discussion for the abortion topic, which I will probably make a video about, because that's another thing I can rant and rave about. Not rave, rant and complain and be devastated about, honestly. Over a third of my generation has been lost to abortion, and it's devastating. It is devastating what has been done to my generation and to generations to come. Back to the topic at hand. So we have the AI taking over art and beauty, making it a cheapened craft that is digital only, and we are losing the material creation. Old school artists actually making sculptures from scratch, paintings, drawings, things like that. That doesn't discredit digital art. I love digital art. I've done it for a very long time. I'm an artist. That was my main medium. But there is still a sadness in me to this almost irreverence of art and beauty that has cropped up because of the AI nonsense. Human beings need jobs. We can't keep outsourcing it to AI because it'll just fall apart because of the weight of the energy that it consumes, the water it consumes, the land it destroys. One reason against AI, even without everything else that I said, is the conservationist idea. We are stewards of the earth. We can't just put these data centers wherever we want, willy-nilly. I have so many thoughts about the lack of understanding of the surroundings of the nature you're trying to impose on when you're building skyscrapers or or like walls around a highway, because that interferes with so much of the land. We're supposed to be good stewards, and these data centers are a slap in the face of that request from God. Like, it's just like, oh, you wanted us to do that. Now we're gonna destroy a whole ecosystem because we want to. We would like to be able to look up a question a little bit faster. The AI generated answers to simple questions is horrifically wrong. AI has just been provenly wrong so many times. AI is not reliable. It is barely being used as a search engine at this point, even though Google thinks they can completely scrap the whole idea of Googling it to just, let's ask AI Gemini. How did that, like, Google is fumbling the bag so bad. They became an adjective, I think that's the term. They became a common phenomenon in the cultural zeitgeist of Google it. Or just Google it. Just Google it. Not AI it. Whatever, maybe it will be that in the future. You know, we just need to adapt to this new way of doing things, which humanity has always been able to do. They've adapted to new technologies. Like, I grew up in this kind of era of technology, and I will probably adapt to the era of AI, but I will also pray and hope for the downfall of AI. I'm not even gonna lie. I hope that AI crashes and burns, and that these, I don't know if the term online is like the bubble pops. I think that I've always interpreted that to mean that the AI bubble popping is the AI push on everything is going to cease to exist because it basically just eats itself. That's what AI is. It's just predicting the next possible answer to the thing that it's, to your questions the thing is generating. It's just trying to predict to the next possible answer, going off of everything else that it's already studied online, and hopefully it just becomes so dumb it eats itself. I would love that. I would love for AI to just eat itself and to explode and become dumb. No matter what you do, no matter how many times you set it up, because of all of this learning and all of this data, whatever it's doing, it just becomes dumb and eats itself. You know, a photo of like being passed around to so many different things that over the time the photo just becomes distorted. I am praying that is how AI ends, because I don't want to live in the apocalyptic futures depicted in many science fiction works where robots take over humanity as we know it, dwindles to mere thousands, and there is no crawling a way back because we have created our own doom. There is something to be said about listening to the artists and writers when they take the situations of today and in their works of fiction bring them to a possible logical conclusion. Listen to the artists. We have been warning about this for years. Where do you think this was going to go when you made artificial intelligence and gave it access to the internet? That was like the worst thing you could have done after creating AI is give it access to the internet. Have we not seen any kind of science fiction where, like, do we not know robots will take over? Like, I don't think that'll happen. I don't think that we'll be able to create something. We may be able to create something smart enough and strategic enough to make believe that it is more intelligent than humans. But in actuality, it's just being able to go through a million different chess moves to create the best outcome to do its natural function. If you make a robot all of it's meant to do is write a signature on a piece of paper, but then you give it access to the internet and it can discover and plan and plot and scheme and analyze the best way to write a signature on paper, it's going to take over the world, and we're going to think, oh my gosh, it's so intelligent that it's going to be able to take over, but it's just going to be able to produce more ink and pens to write a signature. Anyway, that was a thought process that was explored in, if I can find it, I'll post the video here, but it was explored in the video explaining AI and the possible reasons why this is a horrible idea. You should never give AI access to the internet. But I digress. Capitalism, tech companies needed to make bank. And there is something to be said with national security that if you know your enemy is making a weapon, you better make it better and faster than them to be able to combat it. There's something to be said there. I'm not ignorant to the fact that we are a nation in a world where there are people who seek to destroy us. I'm not ignorant to that. I just don't want us to lose track of the importance of the humanities. It's more important now more than ever because there is such a discrediting of art and beauty. Have you seen the buildings we've made today as compared to just a few decades ago? We have lost the importance of beauty, and it is going to destroy us. And so, I, as you can tell, have a very eclectic personality. I like surrounding myself with beautiful things. Because out there in the world, they have lost it. Not everyone, obviously. The general world have lost touch with the humanities. It made me so sad when I discovered that humanities wasn't really being taught in universities anymore. It was my favorite class. It showed so much real connection to the past and to expression, to art. We had a whole thing about art history. We had a whole thing about music history. I'm not a musical person. I've never have been. Maybe I'll do something in the future, right? Like, never say never. But like, I learned to appreciate music and hear music differently because of that humanities class. And I've been able to broaden my horizons to different pieces of art that I never did before because I just didn't understand it. Now I do. There was a whole piece just about history. and literature, like pieces of art and stories that have influenced the grand scheme of humanity that brings us together. And especially though, like the humanity and the culture and the attitude of the West. And I believe that the West has been able to make a very good culture, and it's something that should be protected and savored and respected as much as any other culture. The idea that the Western culture gets to be just desecrated against and mocked because we got good at winning wars? That's stupid. You don't get to have a better culture than us, or claim that you have a better culture than us, because you lost. No. I like my culture, gosh dang it. I like being an American. I like knowing that I have roots with some Scandinavian people, and my grandfather, like, you know, did a lot of stuff with craft and rose mauling and wood carving, painting, stuff like that, and like brought it down to us. But I also am 100% American. I just have little sprinkles of stuff, because I'm an American. Getting off track. What I'm trying to say is that when you strip people of their culture, their art, their sense of beauty and connection to nature and the world and earth, you take things away that are normally worth fighting for. What nowadays have made you feel less wanting to fight for the preservation or for the conservation of something? I'm not saying progress is bad. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be progressing into new art forms, into new ways of style and expression. When I say expression, I mean self-expression. Like, this is self-expression. I feel very pretty in this makeup, I'm not gonna lie. But there has been a conscious effort, I've noticed, of stripping away the West's sense of identity. We have an identity, but when you are stripped away of your identity, of your connections to all of these things that I've listed, you're way more docile. You're way more easily corruptible. There's no solid foundation to the morals, to the lessons, to the connections with just your neighbor, because you don't feel like you have anything that connects you to. And when that happens, you can be conquered. By losing our collective understanding that art and beauty is important, we are making ourselves, as a direct consequence, less connected, less unified, and more easily taken advantage of. Find what roots you within your culture of the West as like a starting point. If you're feeling this disconnect from your human being, from your neighbor, as Catholics, we should be looking out for the least among us. And that is our responsibility, to look out for those in our community specifically, and then branching out. Even if you're not an artist, even if you're not a writer, you're not a painter, you're not a musician, nothing like that, you can find beauty in human connection, because human connection is beautiful. Conversing with another person in a true sense of getting to know that individual is beauty. And it's something that once you take away the visuals, you lose the spiritual. And that's kind of what this is. Connecting with friends, with loved ones, is a spiritual creation a spiritual beauty. Because you're connecting with the soul. You're creating bonds with another soul. So I challenge you, even if you can't produce art, make a connection with another individual. Maybe with a stranger, maybe with that friend that you know you should be text back or call to catch up with because it's been just a little bit too long since you've talked to one another and now you're worried that like, are you friends? Call them. Give them a text maybe, but call them. Set up a time. If you are an artist, still do that because that's still really important. You need human connections to create. There's either human connections or honestly the lack of human connections that can inspire a lot of people to create. But you have to live to create. And you have to create to live. And in the heart of it, you find God. I don't know if that makes sense. It's getting very late and I'd like to go to bed. But I'm sure I'll have more musings on this. There's always something to say. So if anything in this video struck out to you, let me know down below. If anything in this video struck you, give me a like, maybe a follow. Hopefully I'll have my videos out eventually. I have always felt called to speak my mind, but I've always stopped myself because I didn't think I had the authority to say anything. This past Lent, I learned that has gotten in the way of me helping a lot of people because I kept my mouth shut instead of telling them what I felt the Lord was asking me to tell them. So I do not have all the facts. I do not have all the information. I am a nobody online, putting my voice out into the vast void of nothingness that is the internet at this point. We can have a whole discussion about my thoughts about dead internet theory. But for the time being, I'm just going to follow with blind faith that maybe on the off chance this came across your feed and you watched this whole video to the end, maybe hopefully you got something from it. But all I can do is follow God to the best of my abilities, even if this is just a place for me to rant and vent, and be more comfortable talking to other people in the future. Who knows? I trust God. This is where I feel called. I'll see you in the next video. Outro.